Hello, I'm Apoorva from the Let's Teach English team. I'm going to be giving you an introduction to the Let's Teach English program and what kind of opportunity that is for the TFI fellows. So, in essence, the program is very simple. We recruit enthusiastic volunteers who teach spoken English over regular phone calls to first-generation English speakers. So far, we have worked with people who are in grade 6 or up, including some adults. These are all one-on-one conversations, and they take place in 1-hour slots over 15 weeks, 1 hour a week. We map one volunteer to one student, so there's a one-to-one relationship. And we make sure that the volunteer and the student have the same gender, and they share at least one vernacular language that they both speak. And we have a very easy to teach, very flexible curriculum that sort of relies on conversations and simple games and problem solving to teach spoken English. Overall, our goal is to help reduce the opportunity gap between English and non-English speakers. So some numbers, we started about 100 days ago. We now have about 2,000, close to 2,000 volunteers who have signed up, and about 1,700 odd children who are being taught. In total, we have about 37 organizations that we have onboarded. These are both schools and NGOs. And we're close to, next week is going to be the first batch that finishes, so the one that finishes 15 weeks. The growth in the volunteers has been very organic. So, and then we've usually had trouble finding students to match with the volunteers rather than the other way around. Okay, so how do the students benefit from such a program? So the regular long, 1 hour long, active two-way conversations with an English speaker that they get in this program really has a dramatic impact on confidence and fluency. Many first-generation English speakers don't have that kind of opportunity because it's a one-on-one interaction. There's personal attention and tailored teaching in a very informal setting. So the child is quite relaxed and sort of builds a connection with the volunteer. So this has many benefits. For instance, one volunteer recently discovered or identified dyslexia in one of the students who was new to a school before the teachers had noticed it. And then there's also the psychological impact of personal attention from a caring adult. There are many opportunities for life lessons, like in any other interaction. Because of this weekly call system, children have to take personal responsibility. So there are many conversations that occur between the volunteer and the student on showing up for the call, on punctuality and being dedicated and doing their homework and so forth. And there are many teachable moments in terms of when students struggle, the volunteer mentoring them through that process. And of course, a positive relationship with someone who's outside their world, gives them exposure and access that they wouldn't otherwise get. How do the volunteers benefit? A lot of the volunteers see a sense of purpose in doing this and feel like they're giving back something to society. The other reason is that we usually put a bunch of volunteers together in a WhatsApp group, and they sort of build a community. This creates meaningful relationships and community feeling among the volunteers, which also is a positive sort of outcome for them. There's a sort of a element of becoming aware of the wider world and the struggles of ordinary people. So volunteers tell us about how this has been an eye-opening experience and so forth. And for many people, this is sort of like an entry point to volunteering. It's very easy to do, and they don't have to go anywhere. They don't have to commit very long hours. Okay, so why should you consider the LTE program? So we've observed that there are significant synergistic gains in English speaking that happen, especially when group of students in the same classroom are all engaged in the program one-on-one with different volunteers. Sort of they can't stop talking about the program, and what's been observed is that they now speak English unprompted. Earlier they used to have to be asked to speak in English or answer in English. Now they do that unprompted. They often talk amongst each other in English as well. The other important gain will be that you're gaining a team of partners who essentially are joining you in your task of teaching these children. And this team helps you give the children the one-on-one attention and the sort of tailored instruction that you may find it difficult to give, given that you're working with lots of students. These partners can serve as a second pair of eyes in independent interactions with the students, and they can also be a bouncing board for you in terms of ideas that you want to discuss and so forth. Moreover, because these volunteers are very enthusiastic and they build these meaningful connections with the students, you can cultivate them if you engage with them properly for continued broader involvement in the future, beyond the LTE program, including outside English speaking into other domains. Finally, this is going to be your program and it's your team of volunteers. So you can sort of see them as your little army, and you'll have full autonomy in terms of the content, the program structure, and so forth. So you really get to drive this as you want. Okay, so what will we do? We will give you a simple customizable curriculum to start with. It's been built by a team of specialists, but it's been built such that it's very easy to customize and very easy to build on. So depending on the level of your children or what you want to focus on, you can work with the curriculum and add things and so forth. We will help you recruit volunteers and match to your students' genders and native language. So we are getting a lot of interest from volunteers, so we can help connect them to you. We will provide you with a process and process documents and materials for orienting and engaging with these volunteers and creating sort of an energetic community that you can rely on, as well as sort of materials to monitor the students and getting regular feedback and so forth. And of course, we'll be providing you hand-holding and peer support. You can talk to us anytime and so forth. What will you commit to doing? You have to own the program. So it's very important to realize that this is going to be your program rather than an LTE program. So you have to take full responsibility for driving it. You will select the students and make sure that they have access to a regular phone to receive the calls. You will also create and manage a WhatsApp group for the volunteers, not for the students, for the volunteers. And you will orient the volunteers to your students and their needs and what your expectations are, and anything else that you think is important in their interactions with your students. You will do the individual, student to volunteer pairing and help with scheduling the initial calls. And then you will provide outgoing engagement, ongoing engagement and coordination with the students and volunteers, tracking progress, are the calls being made, and so forth, obtaining feedback both from the volunteers and from the student, and all the stuff that goes along with running this kind of program. Of course, these are people who are coming from anywhere and volunteering for this program, so they're not vetted, and so it's important to find ways to minimize the risk associated with putting, in effect, a stranger on an unmonitored phone call with a vulnerable child. So we take several steps for that. Of course, we do gender matching of the volunteer and the student. There's an orientation process. We have a list of do's and don'ts. The curriculum itself has pointers on what should and should not be discussed. There's, of course, we make them aware of a child protection policy. We ask them to sign a pledge. We also, make sure that they don't share the phone number of the child with anybody else, and so forth. of course, the fellows who are interested in the program can also, add additional steps for vetting and filtering the volunteers prior to matching them with students. Okay, so this can take the form of a test or a meeting with the volunteer one-on-one before you start. So in general, the sort of principle that we've been following is that you get to know the volunteers. Right now, we do that in the form of a WhatsApp group, which we monitor diligently for red flags that might, point to the need for intervention. And of course, there's a need for regular proactive check-ins with the students to make sure everything's going well and they're okay. All right, so that's all I had to say. If you have any questions, please contact me. My name is Apoorva, and that's my email address on the screen. And you should visit our website where you can find a curriculum and additional information about the program, as well as videos of students and volunteers and parents and so forth. Finally, there's one TFI fellow at least who has been, and more actually, who have been running this program with some of the students. And one of them has sort of given us some feedback. So I'm just going to share that on the next screen. Thank you.